Welcome to the XY Advisor podcast, where it's our goal to help you become the best financial advisor possible and drive the positive evolution of financial advice. Hub24 is an ASX-listed company with over $15 billion funds under management and one of the fastest growing platforms in the market. Neither a bank nor part of a bank, Hub24 focuses entirely on connecting advisors to a broad range of investment solutions for their clients. Discover why other advisors think Hub24 are the best in the market and access the benefits of choice and efficiency for you and your clients with their market-leading managed portfolio solution. To find out more, visit hub24.com.au.
So tell me, mate, as I say, this pod is really around like international. Well, I'm really interested in people who are investing like in like conferences and taking time out, and like what I'm desperately keen to for people to avoid is like we've all been to the conferences where it's just like a sales flog, and they've got mini pies there, and like more people are interested in the booze over the kind of content. And I'm just like, I would hate for anyone to kind of invest the money overseas, and then sort of be led up the garden path just to find that it was just an international version of that. So I was like, let me see if I can get together people who have either good, bad, or different experiences, and let's sort of have a let's sort of walk it through. So tell me, what's been your experience maybe with conferences locally, and then we can go international?
Yeah, look, it's a good question. I'm a big believer in educating yourself as a professional. I've done a Masters of Applied Finance, undergraduate degree, CFP, SMSF Specialist Advisor. So I've done all the, I suppose, educational side of the actual studies. International conferences are very different to the conferences that are run by your licensee. The licensee conferences are more, in my view, meeting businesses, doing your CPD points, teaching you legislation updates, stuff that's important and it's need to know, but it's not really developing your skill set too much. Generally, they're provided by sponsors and product providers who are paid to be there. So there's a bit of a conflicted approach to it. The study tour that I undertook was at Cambridge in the UK. It was put on by the licensee that I was with, and it was basically a collective group of businesses, about 20 of us, to go to Cambridge and study in their business school there. And it was nothing to do with the Australian economy, Australian legislation. It was actually how to become a more efficient leader, how to be operationally smart, how to almost run a more successful business in a high-pressure environment. So there's more development of self as opposed to, hey, this is a legislation changes. So, yeah, I'm a big believer on international study tours, but it's got to be the right one, and you've got to be at the right time in your career to do it.
What made you pull the trigger to say, yep, I'm in?
Well, I took out the Young Advisor of the Year award for the licensee nationally a few years ago. And as part of that, I was provided the opportunity to attend. It was only open to the top 20 businesses of that licensee. So it was a very select group that was able to go. Having won the national award, I was given the opportunity to attend. So it was a great opportunity to deal with businesses that were larger than the ones that I was working in, but also to leverage off their skill and expertise, where most of the ages of the people who attended were probably 45, 50 plus. So being in the 30s, it was a great learning curve from my peers.
On that, mate, super keen to get a sense of, like, for those that paid full freight, do you know what they spend? What the cost? Yeah,
look, flights for UK caught sort of circa $1,500 to $2,000. The actual cost all up, I think, was about $3,000, and I'm assuming there's probably part of it sponsored by the licensee and probably some fund managers. Whilst we were there, we did the study tour and went and saw a few of the managed investments that were in the portfolios of the models. So we had a bit of site visit as well. So I'm assuming there was a bit of a cost coverage from there. But out of pocket for myself, set of flights, ran about sort of $1,500 on top of that to cover the cost. So it wasn't a huge expense, but it's still a commitment to further developing yourself.
Was it something Cambridge put on just for the licensee, or was it more that the licensee is plugging into something that Cambridge is?
No, but yeah, good question. The licensee just plugged into an existing sort of short business orientated sort of program. It was run for effective leadership. So the lecturers were all lecturers of Cambridge, high quality candidate or high quality speakers, and they plugged into an existing framework that Cambridge do for more executive leadership coaching, which was done over about a 3-day period. So
yeah, and 3 days. Okay, and was it? Because I was just talking to Glenn James actually, who was talking about FinCon actually, and they do. They're a bit different, where it's like they have a lot of events on at the same time, and you kind of plug and choose exactly what you want to do at what day, as opposed to like having like 9 to 5. So how did kind of Cambridge run it over those 3 days?
Yeah, it was a structured format, so it wasn't where you had a selection. It was basically they had put the class together. It ran from specialist lecturers who dealt with crisis management and highly efficient teams under stressful situations, through to leaders in their chosen field in HR matters. So there's quite a diverse scope of work. It was tailored towards a very bite-sized, take things away to take back to your own businesses. There was homework involved as well. You know, case studies to read and have having an understanding of heading into the course. So yeah, it was quite structured and quite well organised.
Yeah. Okay. And did they send you the homework before you went away, or was it?
Yeah. So homework was sent about a week or two before. Just cases that challenge your thought process about difficult team situations, difficult employees in part of a team environments. I was really trying to work on how to run an efficient business in a high pressure environment, which, you know, financial planning is that at the moment. So,
yeah. Was it just you guys that were there, or was there like, I don't know, UK or European businesses as well?
No, so it was just put on for the actual the team that went across from the licensee. So yeah, it was just specific to us. And
so something actually, this is a conversation from earlier, but something that struck me, I went on a study tour to New York and Boston back in 2014, and one thing that I was guilty of, I think, although we desperately tried to avoid it, was like going away for a couple of weeks, being super inspired, learning like new ideas, you know, and your brain starts ticking with all this sort of, you know, wonderful inspiration, and then you kind of land back in, well, Sydney for me, Perth for you, say, and then just like inbox is like flooded because you've not been in the office for a while, and then before you know it, you've sort of knocked over the first month, and it's like, I don't even really remember that.
yeah, no, it's really good, yeah, and that's probably, we call it failure to implement, you know. So if you don't go and learn it and don't bring it back and try and take some learnings from it, then you don't actually get much from it. You add it to your sort of self, and, you know, when you're talking about something, it comes back for content. But to give an example, look, I've actually got the folder here. So it sits on my desk. I refer to it quite regularly, more around strategy and planning when we're talking about team and maximising efficiencies in our business. I pull it out, flick through it, and just make sure that you keep referring back to it, because it's quite good content and well set out and well thought out. So, yeah, failure to implement, you need to make sure you keep instilling it and keep yourself accountable to taking the learnings from it.
Did you have any sort of structured way of making sure that you actually gave it the time it deserved when you came back?
Yeah. So basically, because of the fact that the business was part funding it, not out of my own pocket per se, I had to be accountable to you know, the directors and owners of the business. So part of the process when I got back was actually to present back to them the top 5 things, the key takeouts that I felt was valuable to the business and what would add value to the business in a short period of time. So that was something that we did. Did we execute every single one of them? No, we didn't, because everyone has their own opinion, and some of the focus areas weren't quite agreed upon by all in the room. But yeah, that was a great way of sort of instilling and thinking about what was the key takeaways. because of the fact there's a number of businesses and there's a few West Australian businesses that attended, we also, kept in touch and spoke post the actual study tour, because we stayed on for a little bit of extra just to talk about what they thought and, again, collaborate with other businesses, which was a value as well.
I love that, and there's a lot on and I'm starting to learn now. It's a lot on the content and the structure is obviously good, but it's almost as important to learn or to network and be in a space with people who are looking to do interesting things as well, and then you can kind of leverage it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Something that, and it's interesting you talk about not implementing everything. I totally love the idea of thinking practically about how you're going to implement it, almost to the extent of I don't know, I'm thinking for people who listen to the podcast and don't maybe have a kind of a board or other directors, but rather maybe more accountable, they're accountable to themselves. The idea of when you listen to the content, listen to it in the spirit of how would you present this, or how can you engineer this to be something that's practical in the business, as opposed to kind of just sitting back, taking the content, literally, and just letting majority of it wash by until, I don't know. Does that kind of, was that you to be when you're listening, you have to listen, because that when you get back to Perth, you're on, you're on the spot.
Yeah. Well, it's always hard because most people who've gone to conference know that there's a lot of beers and wine and good spirits had of a night time. So, rocking up to those classes in the morning with a slight, frostiness across the eyes is always difficult. But look, end of the day, you go into those things going, okay, we're here for a short time. Want to get maximum value out of it, and make sure that you're going away with key takeaways that you can bring back to your business to improve it, and add value to the clients that we support. So, thinking through how to present it back to the fellow directors was one, but also looking about how do you present it to the broader team, because there's no point running a business that's highly efficient and not being able to deliver it to a broader audience. So, like all conferences and all presenters, they have their videos and clips and, sort of their messages they're trying to get across. So, brought a few of those back as well, just to sort of show the guys, those 2-minute YouTube videos that are inspirational, or 2-minute YouTube videos that are really much trying to focus on a particular topic and trying to extract a message. So I brought those back. Just a way to how to deliver it really easily and concisely that people will buy into it. So as I said, the study tour was more around efficiency, leadership, high optimization of your business. So that was the focus of the study tour. I'm assuming others will probably be more tailored towards different content, but it's great learning, great investment into myself as a professional and leader.
That thing you literally captured the second piece of it, which was firstly, thinking about it in the way of how do I make sure I'm accountable and engaged and to present, but also something that I'm learning is it's all well and good for you to go overseas and have this epiphany thing of it just naturally being on an airplane opens your horizon in terms of the way that you think, but also when you come back to the office, it's there needs to be some sort of a recognition. I think it would be helpful to recognize that not everyone's been on that journey, and you can't just start saying some whack shit, you need to take people along your journey and get buy-in. Otherwise, like you say, it's people might not accept the idea, and you may fall short, I guess.
Yeah, exactly right. Everyone's got their own opinions and their own sort of biases and standpoints. So it's about how you deliver the message back. So that's also part of what the conference is about. Making sure you're able to deliver a message in a very clear and concise way that empowers people, but also brings people along for the journey. So getting back to leadership.
So what was the content specifically on? What were the sessions on?
Yeah, so there was around about 7 different speakers. There was one guy who was a doctor in human behaviour. He studied for a couple of years in war zones and watching the way in which emergency teams fixing someone who's been injured at war. So he was watching the study and learning from how they operate as a team to extract maximum value under high pressure. So it started with that. And then it went through to, business coaches who provide consulting services, but also lecture around optimization of businesses, through to, successful people who have run teams of hundreds of people in HR and how to manage staff effectively. So there's quite a broad skill set of lecturers, all who study regularly and are lecturers at Cambridge on an ongoing basis. So they weren't just ring-ins, so to speak. Content was delivered in a very professional way, like you'd expect from a university. So it wasn't just a, presenter coming in, giving them their 2 cents worth and then going back to their day job. So there actually were employed lecturers, which was great.
And okay, like you're a bit different, I guess, because you're kind of a decent sized business. But like, I wonder if listening to I assume like Cambridge, big business, like great, wonderful ideas. It's like, well, hang on, like if you're a small business, like I don't know, 2-3 people, say, like, is it does the content get lost on them, or is it? No, it's
yeah. Well, the content I don't think is lost at all, because once you've learnt it and experienced it, if it was good content, it should stick with you in some way, shape or form. Maybe not consciously, but subconsciously. Any investment into you becoming better at what you do, or a better person or better professional, it's not lost. I think if you're a big business or a small business, you've got to sort of go in there with what do I want to take out of it and what's important to me. So going in there, I didn't have the pressures of the emails banking up and client inquiries, because I had a team behind me doing the actual sort of day-to-day work whilst I wasn't there. So I went there really to self-develop was what I was focusing on, whereas others may have been still working around the conference, but theirs were maybe more around how to extract efficiencies and become better at delegation, as an example, or how do they run their businesses where they can actually build it to a level where they can actually employ staff, or it was much. You basically take out what you want to take out of it, and there's a lot of content that you could be adapted to big, small, or anything in between size businesses. So yeah, it's good. It goes back to yourself.
I get a sense, like again, especially the universities, it seems like they do these 2-3 day themed sessions on like the example I heard of earlier was like negotiation, or like human behavior, or leadership, or I don't know, like and as part of that, like if I'm listening to this and like, okay, well, I'm kind of keen to hear what they're doing over the next sort of 12 months. Is there like a Facebook group, or are you across like how they advertise for this? How do they kind of ping you and say, hey guys, if you want to invest some money and time, this is how you get to us? Yeah,
look, I suppose the only way I've ever seen opportunities to go to these type of overseas study tours. So I've been to overseas conferences with a licensee. They're different. This is not a overseas conference junket, so to speak. It's actually an overseas study tour where it's open to a select few. Now, how I found out about it was purely because of the fact that it was a very select group of people who were offered the opportunity. Ultimately, it was organised by the licensee, so therefore they were selective of who they brought. Could you go and invest your time and look at it? Of course you can. It's an executive coaching role, a business that you could have gone and done yourself. But it comes back to, I suppose, you as an individual, what are you wanting to take away and learn? If you have to wait for someone to provide you with an opportunity to do something, well, it's probably not an opportunity you probably were looking to do anyway. So I think if you really know from a skill set your gaps and what you're trying to achieve, you can go find these type of study tours yourself and not be so reliant upon others to find it for you, which if I hadn't been offered the role through the licensee, would I have done it? I would have done some form of study and would have allocated some of the resources and financial support to do something, but maybe not that type of study. But yeah, it was great experience. I haven't seen much advertised outside of that. So you hear your Wharton Business Schools over in the US. You've got your Cambridge, which do a bit of it, but outside of that, it's not really something that many people try to have on their list of study goals. So it just comes back to having a clear
that's what I wonder is the opportunity, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's an academic house, like.
Yeah. You got to invest money to make money from that concept, and if you invest in yourself, well, it hopefully should come back twofold in your skill and experience. So, having a clear study plan for yourself, I think, is really important. Whether that entails doing a study tour or not overseas, that's a personal choice. I found it really, really valuable for my stage of career after doing all my study. So, if you're a 21-year-old, would you get much from it? Not at all. It's like that saying when you're looking at an MBA type study where they say you have to have a certain amount of grey hairs. In my case, a certain amount of lost hairs. But yeah, you have to be a certain level in your career to get maximum value out of it. And I think those study tours are probably aimed more for people who have had 10, 15 years experience in profession and are looking more for a quick injection of here's a quick time, extract maximum value. So it comes back to your stage of life and career where you're at and your study.
So you're saying you'd probably want to have an established career before you make the leap?
What was that, sorry?
You're saying you probably do want to have like an established career and like maybe not a couple of years out of university.
Yeah. Because you have to. The study tours are very much focused on a very short period of time, and they cram a heap of stuff in there. So without the life experiences in business, you're going to lose a lot of the value you get from that. And you can't contribute to the conversations at a group level either because you haven't experienced it yet. So I think if I was putting a study tour from an education point of view in sort of order, I probably would make sure that I've had my, the basic studies with your undergraduate and have time in your profession first before you start looking at it. So it may be your early 30s, late 20s, depends on where you see it. So.
Yeah, although I'm kind of conscious that a lot of people who are listening to this are like, well, yeah, going international would be delightful, but in fact, I've got to negotiate my way through a grad cert, whatever, for FASEA and
Yep.
Yeah, but it sounds like this is kind of over and above that, right?
Yeah, look, if you're looking at, spending your money well from an education point, it's definitely a very well worth spend on your education, but you've got to have your basics study done so you can actually practice in your chosen profession. So it's not going to replace your mandatory studies for your profession, but it's going to add a lot of value once you have got those basic or your minimum entry criteria studies done and dusted. So anyone who's looking at doing it, I'd highly, highly recommend it. You can tack on a few days of holiday before or after.
You keep pinching my next question. So like,
I'm reading this conversation, mate. So
what'd you do around that? So like 3-day conference, it sounds intensive. Like before, after, how do you kind of like, what'd you do?
Yeah, so young family, so I couldn't have been away from home too long. So I negotiated very, very well with my spouse, and so I was able to negotiate quite a few days off. So I was only gone for a week and a bit in the end. So left on a Thursday, flew in a couple of days before. Main part of the study tour, and then a couple of days at the back end. So I was only gone for a bit over a week, but those few days away, just thinking about the contents, seeing different landscape. Everyone loves travel. It was really good. So definitely. What's that? Sorry.
How long ago did you go?
It was back in 2015, so it was about 3 to 4 years ago. So it was quite a decent time in regards to my career, but the learnings are still there, still taking bits and pieces from it.
And you due to go back, mate?
Yeah, look, I'm actually going back over Christmas, taking the family this time. So, so off to the UK and, through Europe with the family for Christmas. So, yeah, it's going to be fun.
With a bit of luck, you'll be able to grab those ashes and bring them back home.
Yeah. Less beers, unfortunately, but that's a different time, different place.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. And in terms of your next kind of investment into study, doesn't need to be international, but where's next for you?
I invested my more time cost into the FASEA exam, which I've done and passed, so it's done, and enrolled into the ethics subject starting 2nd of September. So basically trying to round out the FASEA studies. So come Christmas time, I'm FASEA compliant, caught that. So that's where I'm focusing my attention at the moment.
Yeah, fair enough. Tell me everything about the FASEA exam.
Look, I think people are scared about it, but don't be scared, just do it. The content's not there to test your technical knowledge. It's there to test your thought process about what's right and wrong and what a way would you approach it in a real life scenario. So it's not something you can actually study for in my book. Definitely know the code of ethics set out by FASEA, which is a really important part of it. But outside of that, it's just go and do it. Worst case scenario is you fail and you sit it 3 months later. What's a bit of cost of resitting, which I think was $560 or something. So just do it would be my view. And
what it cost?
What was that? Sorry.
How much was it?
I think it was about $560 plus GST, so it's about $600 for a sitting. So, that's not insignificant, but
a cheeky amount just to sit in a room for 4 hours.
Yeah, I know. But look, it needs to be done. It's trying to lift the standard of the profession, which I'm actually for. So, just get around it and do it. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised when you do it. I think it was a 95% pass rate first time around. So,
oh wow. Okay.
So just go and do it would be my advice to anyone.
And when you registered to say, yeah, I'll put my hand up, I'm in. Do they send you course notes, or how did that work?
No, so most of the FASEA website's pretty much the majority of where the information's stored. You get a good email sort of a few weeks out from the exam with a YouTube link, which has a 2 to 5 minute video explaining what it's about. That was quite useful. But FASEA website would be where most of the information was. I see a lot of product providers, Kaplan, some of the big sort of product providers doing courses.
Your
BTs, I think there's a few insurance companies. Feel free to go and do it. Again, I'd actually challenge anyone who's actually practicing should be fine to sit it if they're good and ethical people. So,
right, yeah. Oh, well, that's kind of interesting. It's like, well, yeah, if you failed, maybe there's something there.
Yeah, I just say just back yourself, back your experience.
I love that. All right, cool. Well, like I don't know. It's kind of like I think of it almost like back to the HSC, or I get how some people would think of it as like you're doing this exam for your career.
Yeah.
And like if you fail, you're
yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's I don't know. I'm 36, so I'm probably. I like to think I'm the younger generation, but I'm probably more the older generation now. But just got to do it. You've gone through your VC or TEC or HSC, whatever they call it, whichever state you're in. You've done your undergraduate. You've done exams. It's just nothing different to that. So I think it just comes back to stretching your study muscles and getting comfortable with doing exams. That's and it wasn't hard. Put it that way.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I love that. Awesome, Matt. Well, I guess just to finish, what would you sort of say for someone who's listening to this and is like, this all sounds good. I know going overseas is an interesting thing, but I don't know, what would you say to help them just get that confidence to just pull the trigger and say, I'm doing it?
Just think about, investing in yourself. That's what it comes down to. Once you've got the knowledge, it's yours for life. The more you know, the sooner you know it, the more you can apply it through your career. So just think about your spend as adding value. So you're happy to spend money on your business and getting coaches and consulting to help build it. You're happy to spend people to come and fix your family home and your cars. Actually think of it as spending money on yourself to improve you as a person and professional. So that'd probably be the takeaway.
I love it. Matt, thank you very much.
Well, no worries.